Some clowns wear masks. Others wear skin that forgot how to smile. I was 21 the summer the carnival came to Denton. Small town, southern dust. One street light that flickered for attention, like a drunk waving down a cab that would never stop. I was broke, fresh off dropping out of college, and living in the spare room of my grandmother's trailer. My life had shrunk to the size of a chipped dinner plate and a burnt-out GameCube. When I saw the flyer stapled to the power pole outside the diner, I thought it was a prank. The Bellwether Carnival needs hands. No experience necessary. Nights only. Ask for Tobias. There was no phone number, no website, just an address scrawled at the bottom in red marker. That night, I walked there. The lot was empty. No rides, no lights, no booths, just dust and wind and a faint metallic smell, like old pennies soaked in vinegar. Then I saw it. A tent, big, red and white stripes, faded by sun and age. It looked stitched from old hospital curtains and tablecloths forgotten in attics. A single bulb swung over the entrance, buzzing. Tired, I stood there for a moment, second-guessing myself. And then a voice called out, "You here for the job?" He stepped out from the shadow like someone poured a man from oil. Tall, thin fingers too long, wore a black vest, red scarf, and a smile that never touched his eyes. "Tobias," he said, and held out his hand. I didn't shake it. Something about the way he tilted his head made me think of birds circling roadkill. "You got a name, stranger?" "Caleb," I said. "You really hiring?" He didn't answer, just turned and waved for me to follow him inside the tent. Inside, the air was warm and dry, but the smell changed. Sawdust, smoke, and something sweet that reminded me of spoiled caramel. Candles lit the space, dozens of them, each set in what looked like little porcelain heads. Some smiling, some crying, some ... hollow. He led me past rows of empty chairs, each with a popcorn bag in its lap. No audience, no sound, just the whisper of canvas breathing overhead. Finally, we stopped at the back of the tent, a table, a contract, no logo, and no legalese, just for words at the top. "You agree to forget." "What is this?" I asked. Tobias smiled again, the kind of smile that comes after biting something soft. "The job," he said. "Carnival needs new blood." I looked at the pen, the paper, and laughed nervously. "Is this a show?" He didn't blink, didn't move. I looked back at the tent entrance, gone, behind me. Only more darkness, chairs, heads, and in the far corner, a figure, small, hunched, wearing a clown mask. I hadn't noticed it before, but now I couldn't unsee it. Its hands were folded, like it was waiting. Watching, I turned back to the contract and signed. That night, I started work. No instructions, no training, just a red uniform with no pockets and the name Eli stitched across the chest. My job was crowd flow, except there were no crowds, just doors. Hallways that didn't exist yesterday. Rides I couldn't see during the day. And always. The clown never moved, never spoke, but always closer. At 3:12 a.m. every night, I heard it, a scream, sharp, childlike, echoing from the FUNHOUS. No one else reacted. Tobias would sip tea. The bearded woman would hum. The fire eater would sleep, but the scream never stopped. Same time, same pitch, and then ... laughter. On the 7th night, I asked Tobias about the clown. He looked at me like I'd said something vulgar. "There is no clown," he said, "but there is no tent either." He turned and walked away, leaving me alone with the contract and a mirror. Inside the mirror, ... I saw the clown, wearing my name. The worst kind of haunted isn't by a ghost. It's by the version of yourself that let it in. The 8th night, I followed the scream. I shouldn't have. I knew the rules, even if no one had spoken them. Keep your head down, don't follow. Sounds don't open the 3rd door in the red hallway. But that night, something shifted. The scream sounded different, less like fear, more like invitation. I waited until 3:10 a.m., pretended to check the popcorn carts, counted shadows, watched Tobias sip tea from a cracked porcelain cup shaped like a skull. At 3:12, the scream came again. Sharp, direct. It came from the funhouse. But I'd never seen the funhouse open. The doors were always chained, lights always off. Tonight, one door was ajar. A thin strip of red light leaked from within, like a wound held open by invisible fingers. I walked in. The smell hit first. Bleach, rubber, old laughter, not sound, not echoes. The smell of laughter, like the scent of something that once lived, but now existed only in memory. Mirrors lined the hallway. Tall, wide, distorted, but none of them showed me. Each reflected someone else. One mirror showed me older, hair graying, eyes hollow. Another, younger, bloody nose, missing teeth. One showed a version of me smiling with too many teeth. And in the corner of every reflection, the clown, closer, always closer. I turned to leave, but the entrance was gone. Behind me, another hallway, green light, low music, like a broken calliope playing underwater. I walked, the hallway narrowed, walls pressed in. My breath fogged the mirrors. Then, a door, not red, not marked, just plain wood. A child's handprint smeared in chocolate on the knob. I opened it. Inside a classroom, old desks, chalkboard, cracked globe, and a man sitting at the teacher's desk. Wearing my face, he looked up, smiled, late again. "Caleb," he said. I stepped back. No, he stood, and that's when I saw it. His legs bent the wrong way, like they were stitched backward. He walked toward me without moving. Each step pulled the room closer instead of moving him forward. Behind him, the chalkboard began to write itself. We laugh because we remember. Then we scream because we don't. I ran back through the hallway, through the mirrors, every one of them laughing now. Not sound, just movement. Reflections shaking in silent hysteria. One of them whispered, "The clown remembers you." I burst out of the funhouse. Back into the lot. Tobias was waiting. He held a balloon. It was black, floating sideways. He handed it to me without a word. The string was sticky. I took it, and he smiled. "You're learning," he said. "You're becoming memorable." That night, I dreamed of a tent filled with mirrors. Each showed me laughing. Each showed me bleeding. Each had my name wrong the next day. I had no reflection, not in the sink, not in the spoon, not in the funhouse. Only in one place. The red hallways. 3rd mirror, and in that mirror, I wasn't alone. The clown stood behind me, wearing my skin. She was only ever seen once, when she was already gone. On the 9th night, someone new arrived. That alone was strange. The Bellwether Carnival didn't take in new people. No applications, no interviews, no tourists wandered in looking for work. But she showed up anyway. Name was Lacey, 17, maybe 18, pink streak in her hair, Doc Martens, hoodie with skull patches that looked hand-stitched. I found her near the back lot, staring up at the red and white tent like it owed her something. "You lost?" I asked. She turned, smiled. "No, just remembering." That was the first time I felt it. That tingle down the back of my neck when someone speaks. A sentence that feels older than the moment it was said. Lacey never signed a contract. Tobias didn't ask her to. She didn't wear the red uniform. No one gave her a job. She just showed up. Some nights, she'd help restock the caramel apple station. Other nights, she sat in the bleachers and watched empty acts. Clowns juggling, bones, trapeze, artists falling upward, animals that blinked too slow. No one told her to leave. No one ever asked who she was. But everyone looked away when she passed. She started following me, not like stalking, more like orbiting. Whenever I turned a corner, she was near. If I entered the funhouse, she waited by the mirrors. If I looked into the third one, she stood behind me, but not reflected, present, real. On the 10th night, she asked, "Have they told you about the carnival before this one?" I didn't answer. I didn't know there had been one. She nodded anyway. They all end, eventually. She pointed toward the back of the lot, where the land dropped off into darkness. No fence, no barrier, just void. "Everything goes there," she said. "Even the screams." That night, I followed her. She walked barefoot toward the edge. The dirt didn't move beneath her. The shadows bent around, her legs like smoke trying not to touch her skin. We stopped near a small, rotted booth I hadn't noticed before. The sign was faded, but I could still read it. Pictures with smiley. She touched the glass of the booth. Inside, a row of Polaroids hung like a serial killer's scrapbook, kids smiling, always beside the same clown. Smiley, white paint, red mouth, black triangles for eyes. Each photo had a date. Each date was Easter. She pulled one photo off the string, held it up to me. "This is the last one," she said. It showed a boy, standing beside Smiley, eyes wide, not smiling. The boy was me. I stepped back. "No, I never." "Yes, you did," she said. "They don't take people who haven't already been here." I looked at the photo again. Same jacket, same mole near my lip, same scar on my left hand. The one I got falling off my bike at 6. It was me, but younger. And in the corner of the photo, Lacey, watching. I dropped the picture. When I looked up, she was gone. Only the booth remained, and a new photo on the string. Still developing. Still soft. But the face was already cleared me now, with the clown behind me, hand on my shoulder. When I returned to the tent, Tobias didn't say anything. He just handed me something. A mask. Red, smiling, paint chipping at the edges. It looked like it had been worn many times by many people. He said, "You'll wear it soon." That night, I didn't sleep. The mirrors all reflected Lacey, but I couldn't find her anywhere. Only her voice remained, whispered through the tent's breathing walls. "It's almost Easter. It always happens on Easter. That's when the clown chooses. The carnival doesn't move. The world forgets where it left it." I woke up on the 11th night with the mask on my pillow. It hadn't been there when I lay down. Its eyes stared through me. The paint had begun to peel. The fabric ties were soaked with something warm, like breath, trapped in cloth. It smelled like rust and sugar, like a smile that had rotted. I left it where it was. But wherever I went that day, I could feel it watching me, from booths, from popcorn machines, from the carousel that only spun in reverse, and behind every ride. The clown, waiting. I asked Tobias about Lacey. He froze, like I'd spoken a language he had been trying to forget. Who? He said. Lacey, I repeated. The girl she's been here for. There are no girls here, he said. He stood, walked to the center of the tent, and picked up a box I'd never noticed. From it, he pulled out a stack of masks, all red, all smiling. He laid them in a circle on the floor and said, simply, pick the one that remembers you best. I left, ran through the tent, out the back, into the lot, through the fog that had rolled in overnight. Everything looked different. Taller and Schaber, Angrieri. Found Lacey behind the hall of mirrors, sitting cross-legged on the cold ground. She didn't look up. They're playing the game again, she said. What game? The one where they forget, and then remember, and then forget harder. She finally looked at me. Her eyes were bleeding. No tears, no pain, just blood, falling in two perfect lines from her lower lids to her chin. It's your turn, she said. I stumbled back, nearly tripped over something soft. It was a costume, a full clown suit, laid out in the shape of a man, like someone had worn it, then vanished. A small sign sat atop it, help wanted. I ran to the carousel, the one I'd never seen anyone ride. It was spinning now, empty, except for one horse, white chipped, eyes hollow on its back. The mask, mine, tied to the horse's face with what looked like hair. It turned, slowly, always facing me, no matter where. I stood. Lacey appeared again, behind me. Do you want to remember why you came here? She asked. I didn't answer, because something deep in my chest was already screaming, not in words, in instinct. The kind that tells you when you've made a mistake too big to undo. She pointed to the mirror near the FUNHOUSE. It was cracked, barely standing. When I looked into it, I saw a carnival, but not this one. One from decades ago. People laughing, children eating cotton candy, games, lights, and in the center, me, holding a balloon, black, floating sideways, and beside me, Smiley. Only now he wasn't masked. He was me. I staggered back, the mirror shattered, and inside it, not shards, but teeth. Hundreds, still warm, Lacey whispered. The clown only plays with those who remember being part of the last carnival. I turned to ask her what that meant, but she was gone. Only her voice remained. Easter's almost here, and they've already built your tent. You just haven't seen it yet. They call it a resurrection, but it always needs a body. The 12th night began without moonlight. The air was thicker than usual, smelled like wet fabric left in a bag too long. The fog didn't just cling to the ground, it rose, breathing, curling, filling every corner of the carnival like it belonged there more than I did. The tent had changed. The canvas was darker, more red than white now, pulsing like muscle, like something trying to be a heart. I went inside, drawn by something between curiosity and dread. The chairs had all been turned to face the center of the tent, and in the center, a booth, new but old, like it had always been there, and had only just remembered to see it. A sign hung over it. Resurrection, one memory per ride. Inside the booth sat a clown, not Smiley, not me. A third one, smaller, face blank, eyes painted shut. Tobias stood. Nearby, he was holding a clipboard. "Pick a memory," he said. "What?" He tapped the clipboard. A list, dozens of entries. Each line was a year, a place, a name. I looked at the top entry. 2016. Caleb, Ferris wheel kiss. Taken below that, 2019, minus Caleb mother's funeral. Taken further down, 2023 minus Caleb first night in tent. Available. I looked up. "What is this?" He didn't answer. Just held out a small red ticket. It pulsed in his fingers. "You ride, you give. That's the deal." I backed away, felt something at my feet. The mask dot again, only now it had my face painted on it, and the teeth in the mouth were real, jagged, still wet. I ran through the tent, past the mirrors, through the halls. No one stopped me, but everyone was watching. The bearded woman, the fire eater, the man with no arms, all staring, their eyes full of regret, like they'd run once to unlost. I found Lacey near the tilt-a-world. She was digging in the dirt with her hands. "Help me," she said. "What are you doing?" "Looking for me," she whispered. I looked down, saw the hole, a grave, shallow, fresh, inside, a mirror, cracked, and a child's skeleton, wearing a red jacket with the name Lacey stitched across the front. I staggered back. She kept digging. He said I could come back if someone remembered me. She looked up. Her eyes were empty sockets now. No blood, no gore, just void. "You remembered me," she said. "That's why I'm still here. That's why you won't be." The fog turned black. The music started. Calliope notes twisted in reverse. The sound of something falling upward. I felt the carnival move beneath me. Not location, time, back at the resurrection booth. The clown was gone in its place. Me, tied to the seat, eyes painted shut, mouth open but silent. A mirror hung above, in it a projection, my face, wearing the mask, laughing. Lacey stood beside me, now taller, now older. She held a balloon, black, floating sideways. The booth whispered, "This is your last Easter. Then, thank you for your memory." And the world turned inside out. No one becomes the clown becomes you. I woke up in a bed of sawdust. No sky above me, only canvas, stained, torn, pulsing like lungs too tired to stop breathing. I stood slowly, every joint cracked like old wood warping in summer heat. I wasn't wearing my uniform anymore. Just red cloth, red shoes, red gloves. And in my hand, a ticket, blank but warm. The mask sat at my feet, same as always, same smile, but now the eyes were open. And behind the eyes I saw it, not a reflection, not a face, but a crowd, rows, and rows of faces. All of them, me. Tobias waited at the edge of the tent. Except he wasn't Tobias anymore. He had no face, just a swirling canvas of other people's expressions, like a storm made of regret. He handed me a clipboard. I looked down, new name, smiley below it, a checklist, dates, towns, double quotes, next. Grimsby, Easter 2024. I looked up, he was gone. Only fog remained. The carnival began to fade. Not vanish, fade like. It was being remembered less and less. Lights flickered, rides cracked, voices became echoes, and in the center, I stood alone until someone entered. A boy, maybe 17, confused, holding a flyer. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words weren't mine, they were Smiley's. "You here for the job?" He nodded. Stepped inside, didn't question the tent, didn't question the contract, only looked around once and said, "Weird. I feel like I've been here before." I handed him the red jacket. He put it on, fit perfectly, like it was made for him now. I sit here, waiting, watching. I wear the mask now, not because I want to, but because no one else remembers what happens if I don single quotes 2. Every Easter. Someone comes, every Easter, someone leaves, but someone always stays. So if you see a flyer, if you feel like taking a summer job, if the pay sounds too good to be real, remember, the carnival doesn't hire, it chooses. And the clown, he doesn't haunt the carnival, he haunts you.